The last few weeks, I fear we are nearing burnout again, sadly. And that's just a real bummer because no matter how much you work against burnout, I feel like it still comes. I feel like as a hardworking girly, it will still be here. So today we're talking about rest because, and I'm not talking about naps or even really vacations. I'm talking about 7 types of rest and how to practice each one to live an abundant, full life because there are so many aspects of life that to just say, oh, I need to rest, sometimes doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, okay, what is a rest day? What are we doing on our rest day? Let's talk about that. What does it look like to rest? And so there's multiple types of rest, and I want to talk about them with you, okay? And there's 7. So we're just going to jump right in here, okay? First one, physical rest, okay? What it is. It is an active and passive recovery, okay? So, examples, sleeping. That is physical rest. Stretching, physical rest. Napping, physical rest, all right? It is this idea of an active and passive recovery stage for your body. And so for example, in Psalm 127:2, it says like he gives his beloved sleep. Sleep is so important and resting is so important in this physical way because um you need it to function. Like literally you can't survive without this type of rest. You will die if you don't sleep, which is insane to me. Like that blows my mind, okay? So, a couple tips on physical rest, creating a nighttime routine, scheduling time to take like a stretch break. I think that that's really important and taking days off of working out. So important because if you're constantly working out and you don't allow your muscles to rest, they cannot heal. So, working out is the tearing of muscles. Like, if you're strength training, you are actively tearing your muscles, and so that they can grow stronger by regrowing larger, regrowing stronger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the concept of working out is like to tear your muscles down so they can get better, but they get better in the rest time. Working out is tearing, resting is growing. Okay. So, like, the physical rest is so important. All right. Now, type of rest number 2, mental rest. Okay. Now, this is giving your brain a break from constantly processing. This is the hardest for me because I am in the constant state of processing. I really, really am. I literally don't know how not to be, and I think that's kind of a problem for a lot of people is I'm constantly planning, I'm constantly consuming content or creating content. And not just like creating content for social media, but creating conversations in my head that need to be had, creating to-do lists, all of that is constantly in my brain. Okay. So, some things that help with this, okay, taking brain dumps, like literally starting a journal where you can just like dump down ideas. I have this in my notes app all the time on my phone where I will be doing something and I will see myself start to get in the pattern of over analyzing something or giving too much thought to a situation that doesn't need that much thought yet. So I will put it down in my notes app and I feel like I'm literally, like, I really visualize myself like taking something and pulling it out of my brain and setting it down and saying, I will come back to this. And that's really, really helpful. Okay. I also enjoy setting no decision zones in my day because that's helpful. If I am in a no decision time frame, I know that I will literally start to think about something. I'm like, oh, I can't make a decision about this right now. So there's no point in having this conversation with myself. And it just like it reinforces that boundary for my own brain. And it's also really important to try to avoid multitasking because when you're processing so many things at one time, I catch myself all the time. Like, I will have a podcast going while I am trying to do a design project. And then I'm like sitting there trying to process information while still trying to create something. And it's just too much. It's too much. And that is not mentally restful. So even though listening to a podcast or creating something separately can be really great, not together. Okay. So that's mental rest. Number 3, sensory rest. Okay. Sensory rest would be reducing stimulation from screens, lights, or like noises. Okay. So, an example of this would be like going 1 hour tech free before bed because it will help your mind and body wind down. When you are constantly being stimulated by all sorts of stories or content coming in at you, or literally just like anything, it's a lot. So, what I love doing and what's helping with this is going on a walk without my phone more regularly, because sometimes I'll bring my phone on walks and I just feel like the constant urge to check it or to listen to a podcast or music or something. And it's a lot. It's stimulating. And I don't need to constantly, every single day throughout my entire day, be having some sort of stimulation. Like it's okay not to. It's okay not to. So that helps. Dimming lights at night, as crazy as that sounds, really helps. You guys know I will talk about this all the time. I switched all of the lights in my bedroom to be red light. So it is so great to go in there and turn on red light because it is so calming on my eyes at night. And I will go in there and I do feel calmer. Like it really is like a non-stimulating rest. It's like sensory rest. It allows my senses to kind of take a deep breath and it's like, okay, here we go. So helpful. Okay. Number 4, creative rest. This is reawakening your inspiration and finding beauty when you stop forcing it. Okay. I would have never said I was a creative person in the past. I do think I am a creative person in kind of like an entrepreneurial way. Not that I'm constantly starting businesses, but that is kind of where I lean. Is I'm always thinking of ways to make things better and stuff like that. It is hard to turn that off. Almost like the processing mental rest. It is hard to stop creating for me personally. Not everyone has this problem, but there are people who have this problem way, way worse than me. Um, really like ask yourself the question, when was the last time you did something purely because it was a spark of joy? It's been a minute. It's been a minute. So some examples of this could be like visiting a new place. Like when's the last time you went to a museum just to like look around? Couldn't tell you. It's been a while. Or going on a hike. Like literally just like going outside for no reason other than you're going to give your brain a break from trying to create something. Or reading a book that you're not trying to learn from. Just enjoying a book or listening to music that you're not like that is just like good music. Like you're not trying to like listen to a podcast. I don't know. I am in the constant state of trying to create, even if you think about this, like you're listening to this, you're trying to create a better life, right? Like you probably need a break. You need creative rest. So that's important. Number 5, emotional rest. Very, very important. This is permission to be honest with your feelings. When we safeguard our emotions too much, when we're in the constant state of guarding our emotions, it is healthy. It is healthy to guard your heart. It is healthy to have a handle on your emotions because if you don't, that's when things get chaotic, 100%. But when you're never allowing yourself to emotionally rest or feel things to the full extent, yeah, that's not great. And what you need to remember is like Jesus wept. Jesus cried. And that's because emotions matter. They need space. They need space to feel. Now, there's context for proper emotions. You shouldn't be vulnerable with strangers necessarily and let them have access to all of your emotions. And you need to have a handle on your emotions so you're not hurting other people. But permission to be honest with your feelings is so, so key for emotional rest. So, first of all, something that I love to do with this actively that has helped so much. This is crazy. I heard this in my, someone came to speak at the graduation of my community college. Okay. I think it's the only graduation I've gone to. No, I went to my bachelor's graduation. Yeah, I did do that. But he said something and I will never forget it. He said, you will be so much healthier if every time you experience an extreme emotion, you give yourself 90 seconds to feel it. Give yourself 90 seconds to experience that emotion, to allow it to wash over you, to try to trace where it's coming from, and just sit in the emotion. And then you can move on. That is so helpful. That is amazing to me. Okay. And you can also talk to a counselor or a therapist or a trusted friend. Maybe practice some like I feel statements, like I feel angry. Okay, well, what is anger? What as an emotion? Okay, maybe it's actually I feel disappointed. Well, why do I feel disappointed? Well, I feel betrayed. Work yourself through that. Setting up times for emotional rest where you don't have to be like quote unquote on or performative with your emotions, like a lot of us feel like that pressure sometimes, so important for emotional rest. Number 6, social rest. It is taking a break from draining social interactions. This goes for introverts and extroverts alike because there are people who energize you and there are people who drain you. Whether you call yourself an introvert, whether you call yourself an extrovert, either way, there are people who do one or the other for you. Now, this does not mean that you can necessarily completely avoid people who drain you. Like, there are times where we work very closely with people who might drain us a little bit. Maybe you're a little bit like I have this. I am a very like tenacious person. I'm an action person. So sometimes I get drained easily by idea people. People who come in and just have constant ideas, but never really have like a plan, nor do they want a plan. And then by the next day, they're onto a new idea. I struggle with that. I really do because I want to do something more than I want to dream about something. So I know that as I reach burnout and drain and I'm drained, I need to limit interactions with dreamers because I am not in a headspace mentally to be nice in those conversations, genuinely. So I need to move to maybe limiting those a little bit more when I need social rest. But then when I am restored, I can re enter those conversations with a little bit more energy. Okay. So that's really great. Those are some of those boundaries that you can kind of set. And then I do think, again, introvert, extrovert, whatever, having solo days is so important. Pulling back from the constant, well, truly stimulation of being around people, because that's what it is, and having a little bit of rest time where you're not in conversation or listening or talking, so important. So, so important. Okay. And then 7, spiritual rest. This is spending like a prolonged period time with God outside of your regular rhythms. This is a maybe a worship night where you just sit and play worship music and sit on the floor and literally just like spend time with God. You're resting in God's presence, or maybe you're just going to spend a full hour in the word because usually you spend 20 minutes in it. Whatever it is, it Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me all who are weary." Like spiritual rest is such a holistic answer that can impact the rest of our lives. It's not just something that we do when we feel spiritually dry. Although when you're feeling spiritually dry, it can be really, really helpful. So that rest is crucial, so, so important. So just as a recap, 7 types of rest. You have physical rest, mental rest, sensory rest, creative rest, emotional rest, social rest, and spiritual rest. Okay. You were never meant to pour from an empty cup, ever. And rest is not laziness. Rest is not you not chasing your dreams. Rest is not you being a bad friend. It's obedience, genuinely. So this week, I really, really encourage you to not just say, oh, today is my rest day, and then not know what that means and continue living your life as you do every other day. Choose a type of rest that you're going to focus on and lean into it because you're going to be amazed at how God restores you. And that is just such a beautiful concept, really, really important. I hope this helps because it is something that I am reminding myself of currently, and I'm really excited to lean into this week. So keep me posted if you're trying any of these or have maybe another type of rest that you're loving. Let me know because, I love to hear from you.